Hi, I'm Heather from booktubes, and today is things I like in Romantasy. I am kind of doing a whole Romantasy project over the next few months, but I thought that it might be fun to do what I like and what I hate. Obviously, this is the what I like video. I've done this for books in general a few times, I think. I don't know. Maybe I should look, but I don't think I've ever done it for a subgenre specifically, and so this might be something that I start doing for different subgenres of romance and fantasy, I guess. I don't know. Let me know if there's any that you particularly would like because you're familiar with my channel, you're familiar with what I read, and you'd kind of like to have a specific what do you like, what do you dislike in this area video. I would love to give you that if that's something that you'd like. So Romantasy, what I like, I just jotted down 10, no, I jotted down 20 quick points. All right, so the very first one that I have is politics tied to the romance, but specifically like a political alliance cemented with an arranged marriage, that type of thing. But I like when the court politics, the military politics, the international politics put the couple together. I do not like when it's the politics that are keeping them apart. That is like an unnecessary angst and stress for me. I'll mention this other times, but I strongly dislike when the couple want to be together, but there is some other factor that will not allow them to be together. I don't like that. So when I'm talking about the politics being a big pivotal part of the romance, I definitely mean, oh no, we have to get married, we have to kiss, we have to spend time together. It doesn't matter what it is, right? It doesn't matter what it is. I just love when it's like, well, we're stuck here together, whether that is in, this palace and we're not even really seeing each other all the time, or, we're stuck in this tiny room, tiny cave, what have you. But I really, really like, especially I think when there's like a certain level of having to keep up appearances or having to be nice to each other or be a united front in order to solidify your power, If you all are not on the same page, then obviously that's going to be a fractured base and something that people can exploit. And so you are working hard to maintain a united front. I like that. 2 is secret skills. This is probably one of my very favorite tropes in all of fiction. I've often called it, the mask off type characters or the golden retriever who's secretly a killer type of trope. Doesn't matter what it is. I love when we get towards the end of the book and we realize that a character had skills that we didn't even know about. I also do like knowing the entire time though too. I like when we know that this character has skills, that this character is hiding something, that this character is holding back on just how much damage they could do or just how good they are at the system. That's going to be a reveal for other characters, but we know the entire time. I like all of that. I like secret skills. I like I was trained for this. I like I'm fluent in this language. I like I knew what was happening the entire time. It doesn't really matter which version it goes. I love it. Number 3, a non-human love interest / main character. I am perfectly fine reading fantasy where there's no magic, where there's no other species, sentient species, where it's just humans in a fantasy setting, right? I have no problem with that. But it is always fun to read about a non-human. It just is, because all of the characteristics, all of the traits, all of the lore is made up, right? Like, does this person have a mate? Do they mind speak? It doesn't really matter what it is, it's made up, so you can do whatever you want with it, and I like that. That's fun. And I like, having a love interest or a main character with wings or fangs or magical powers or really strong sense of sight or smell or hearing, whatever that is not a human trait. It's fun. I like it. It's good variety. Number 4, I have magical sex scenes. God bless. I love magical sex scenes. This is something that I think happens a lot in urban fantasy as well. But again, it's fun. Are you able to vibrate? Are you able to vibrate your fingers? Are you able to hold someone down with your mind? Are you able to bend your surroundings? Are you able to touch someone without actually touching them? Are you able to mind meld and share the sensations? Are you able to be in each other's mind even though you're not in the same physical location? Like, there are just so many really fun. There's even like some that like they can heat up certain body parts. I don't know, it's just fun. I like it. It's cool to see that used specifically for that. And of course, that's something that, you know, is the romance of it all. And I have fun with it. It's fun to see what authors can come up with. Number 5, high interaction, slow burn. I don't really love yearning. I don't love when the couple wants to be together, but they can't be together. But I also don't love, I've never seen you before, but I'm definitely in love with you. I don't mind if you've never seen them before and you're very attracted to them. I don't mind if you've never seen them before and it's like, well, we're gonna be married, so let's make the most of this, right? I don't mind if you hit it off right away. Like, that's great. I have no problem with that. I also don't mind if you like don't really like each other that much, but you're being constantly forced into conversations with each other. I like when it doesn't have to be forced proximity. It doesn't have to be like any of these specific tropes. We just have to be interacting with the love interest a lot. And I don't mind if we're not in love until book 3. You know, I don't mind that. But I just want to see us building that relationship. That's really what it is, right? I like seeing this relationship form from not having ever seen each other all the way to you're the love of my life, I would die for you. I feel like that is something that should have a trajectory to it, not just go from here to here, right? And that doesn't have to mean that sex doesn't happen early. It doesn't have to mean that sex happens at any specific point. And I think that that's important too, that sex is not love, is not romance, is not being in love with someone. It's okay for your characters to have sex with someone they're not in love with yet. Just saying, like, some of you all are real slut shamey and purity culture minded. But like, so it's not necessarily a one-to-one on how quickly we have sex or if we only have sex with the love interest. It's just, I want to see us building it and not being apart because we're hurting each other. I just want to see like that build. I want to see them locking eyes. I want to see them having banter, having flirtatious conversations, having training scenes, you know, having to work together or even maybe working against each other. It doesn't matter. I just want to see them interacting. Number 6 is reluctant allies to lovers. This is maybe one of my very favorite dynamics. I don't care if they start out as enemies, if they don't, but I really like that specific trajectory of we don't really want to work together, but we are both smart enough to see that working together is the best and maybe only option. But regardless, is an option that we want to see succeed, right? We are not working against each other. Maybe we're not revealing all of our information, but we're revealing enough information that the other person is able to actually help us. I love the reluctant allies, and I really love that I didn't really want to like you, or I didn't really want to work with you on this, but your competence has impressed me so much. I'm really glad that we're working together. And sometimes that can go on to friends and then lovers, or sometimes it's straight to the lovers. I don't care which way it is. Again, I don't care if it's enemies to reluctant allies to friends to lovers. 2 key components here, and they're reluctant allies and they're lovers, or even just allies. It doesn't even have to be reluctant, although reluctant I feel like adds a little spice to it, but just allies to lovers. Yeah, we're going to work together on this. It makes sense for us to work together on this. I'm glad we're working together on this, and through that forced proximity and that repetitive, constant interaction, I'm falling in love with this person. It's so good. Number 7 is a stabby FMC look, I like a guy with a dagger, I do, but I like a girl with a dagger more, or a femme with a dagger more. There is just something about that entire aesthetic that is great. It's just so good. It's so much fun. I think I don't mind if they are really feminine or girly, or, you know, if they're in a huge poofy frivolous dress and there's a dagger strapped underneath it, or if they're in fighting leathers or armor and they have a dagger. I don't really care which way you go with it. It's just fun. It's just fun to have a girl with a dagger who knows how to use it, and preferably uses it on the love interest at some point. Number 8 is properly navigating and weaponizing the system that they are in. I like for my main character to be competent, to know what's going on, to be the smartest person in the room. I like that. I've always liked that. I've also always liked when the only person that can really rival them is the love interest, right? But I like whether they are being introduced to a new country or a new world, a new system, or they've grown up with it and it is like their natural habitat. I don't really care which one it is, but what I really like is for them to be good at it, for them to understand it and to use the politics and the interactions and the societal aspect, just interacting with people, whether they like them or not, regardless of their place in power, but handling that well, knowing how to use it to their advantage to get the result that they want, to protect the people that they want to protect. I'm very much someone that I think that sometimes the main characters are cutting off their nose to spite their face, because it's like, well, we hate these people. And it's like, yeah, for sure. You know, they're persecuting people like you or people that you love. They are a fascist colonizing society. Like, they're a bad system, right? For sure. But still, the system exists. You're still working within the system. So I really like if you are good at that. Number 9 is a humor and action balance. I love a good fight scene. I love, you know, a lot of we're fighting to save the world, we're fighting to take control of our country. Like, I get all that. All that's great. Love that. Obviously, very big part of the fantasy. But I really like if we have humor to balance that out. And obviously, humor is subjective. And so what I find really funny, you might not. And a book that is supposed to be funny might not work for me at all. And I might be DNFing it early, specifically because I'm not finding any of the jokes funny, right? All of that is true. However, there is just nothing better. There's nothing better than a book that it's not all like, there's some books that are just funny, right? They're not taking themselves too seriously. And again, whatever you are writing, just do that. Don't try and be something that you're not, right? As long as you are self-aware, as long as the author is self-aware, whatever you're writing is fine. But that's not necessarily what I'm looking for, although I enjoy those from time to time. I like when there is you know, some serious stakes, when the world building itself is done seriously, but our characters themselves are really funny. I like that, especially between the main couple. Then number 10 is smart main characters. Obviously, I kind of already mentioned this, but I just feel like, especially like romantasy, obviously young adult fantasy playing a big part in this. But I think something that we see a lot in romantasy is main characters who are naive and don't know what they're doing and are new to everything and make mistakes, trust the wrong people, enter into a deal with the Fae when they shouldn't have. You know, whatever. A lot of the things moving the plot forward are the main character being not the smartest. They're a little bit dumb, they're a little bit naive, they're being taken advantage of, and you know, they're not even aware of it. I don't love that. I really, really don't. So when you have an incredibly smart main character, one who is flawlessly navigating the society that they're in, and who is the smartest person or one of the smartest people, that they recognize other really intelligent people, and who's a threat based on their power and who's a threat based on their perception. I like that more than anything. Number 11, I have Warlord. I do just love a tribal plains horde, you know, this is what we're doing. We have a warlord. I love it. I love it. I understand that it can be problematic, you know, based on our own world and the history of colonization and genocide against indigenous people. Obviously, we live in a racist society, so sometimes you have like savage tropes and stuff, which are very racist. I understand all that. So a problematic fave, if you will, but when it's done well, I love it. I do. Even when there's like, you know, really dark elements in the society, even when there's, you know, when the main character's maybe not there of their own volition, when maybe they're not in the marriage of their own will, when maybe, you know, they're not an enthusiastic participant, I still love it. I have a whole entire video talking about why growing up in purity culture and growing up with the belief that God knew all of your thoughts and that any sort of sexual thing was sin led to an enjoyment of consensual non-consent or dubious consent in media and fiction. All of that. Talked about it before, talked about it a few times. Happy to talk about it again if anyone is interested. But so dubcon is not really, dubious consent is not really a deal breaker for me. It just depends on how it's handled. And I will say a warlord is one of the one of those tropes, one of those setups where it works. Again, depending on how it's handled, sometimes not so much. Then 12, sentient animals or objects / sidekicks. It's just fun. It's fun if the sword is talking to you. It's fun if it's a dragon or if it's a fox or if it is a plant. Like, it's fun. I like it. Now, I do feel like this is a dialogue specifically that can make or break your book, right? A lot of times these characters are, or these monologues or what have you, they're supposed to be a little bit annoying to the main character maybe, or maybe they're just supposed to be adorable, what have you. But I know for me, like, I get annoyed very easily by this type of dialogue if it just crosses the line into corny, cheesy, annoying. Very, very easily. So this can be done poorly and can ruin a book for me. It can be a reason why I'm DNFing. But when it's done really, really well, it's such an enjoyable aspect of the story. Number 13 is the most powerful couple. I love when our main character and our love interest are the most powerful people in the universe. I love it. I do. I love it when no one can tell them no, when no one can take what's theirs, when they are perfectly capable of protecting whatever they want to protect, when no one can challenge them and overpower them, when no one can overrule them. Again, I really like when our couple has the agency to do what they want to do and it's not a uncle or a king or a societal norm that is able to tell them no, or an evil mother. Hate that. I like when they're the most powerful, they can do what they want to do, and they can protect what they want to protect, and yeah, I just like it. Is that my answer for everything? Yeah, I just like it. These are things that I like. That is the point. Again, it just like takes a level of stress for me out of the story that I think, you know, a lot of people probably don't like because they want that tension, but I don't. I really, really don't. I kind of love knowing everything's gonna be okay. Number 14, captive / captor, or backed into a corner and forced to agree to something that maybe that they don't really want to agree to. I am obsessed with this. I always have been, again, going back to that dubious consent and like purity culture and it not being a sin if you're saying no, that type of thing. Which, like, I think if you grew up in the same type of purity culture that I did, you understand, like, you get it. But yeah, I love captive captors. I don't mind when they're really dark. I don't mind when they're not really dark. It just kind of depends, again, on like the person writing it and what they do with it. It's such a specific thing, but I love it. I love it. And I don't care, you know, who has captured who, or I also kind of like there's some series where they switch back and forth of being who's in charge. I like that. It's fun. I love a little revenge. Yeah, you made me kiss your feet, now you're gonna kiss mine, even though I'm not into feet at all, so something else. It's a great trope. It is. I think sometimes though that people get into messes with this when they don't take into account the racial dynamic or the age dynamic or the class dynamic. Like, if you're going to have a captive captor, a lot of times like that needs to be your only dark element, right? That needs to be your only power dynamic that is lopsided in the favor of the captor. So you can't have also they're a racial minority, also they're 20 years younger than them, also they're a peasant, and they're like, you gotta be really careful. And I think that's where a lot of people mess up. Number 15, feminine hobbies / styling / enjoyment. I love a badass character. I do. I love someone who's a mercenary or an assassin or part of the military or what have you. I like all of that. I do. I also really like when they like pretty dresses, when they like reading and sewing and playing piano and flowers and art. I like when they enjoy the company of other women, when they enjoy girl time, if you will, or self-care, or just anything that is considered feminine. A lot of times, you know, things that are considered a feminine pastime are also devalued. And I like when our main character likes those things and values those things and fights to protect those things, whether they are a girly all the time type character or whether they, you know, enjoy a more rounded variety of things that maybe are gender coded to be more masculine and more feminine. I don't really care what it is. I just like when we don't disparage feminine pastimes. Number 16, conversations between the couple. Probably the most important thing for me in any romance is conversations between the couple. I need communication. I need them to talk to each other. Sometimes this really frustrates me. Sometimes they'll have all of the understanding of the couple's dynamics and, you know, what's really going on happen in their inner monologue or in happening with conversations with side characters. It's like, oh, he's actually not that bad because we now know how he's feeling, what his motivation is, all that stuff. But he is never telling the main character that. She doesn't know. Oh, I hate it. Ugh. I despise it, actually. Like, I need these two to be able to communicate with each other desperately. I don't like when all of our humanizing of the love interest is done through third-party characters. I don't mind if we have a better understanding of them through side characters because that is realistic, right? We do kind of form our opinions on people, not only on how they treat us, but also on how they treat the other people around us and around them. Obviously, that's part of human nature. So I don't mind if we are having a little bit of empathy for someone based on a conversation with someone else about them. No problem with that. But if these two or more, I don't care, if they're supposed to live happily ever after, be the love of each other's lives, be the one and only, be the thing that you are aspiring to in your own relationship, what have you, for the love of God, they must be able to talk to each other and communicate. Even if they're quiet, even if they are someone who maybe communication isn't their strongest suit, if they are not a person who moves people to action through their words, they're not someone who easily socializes, you know, it doesn't matter. All of that, again, is fine. I like all of those different types of people, but you have to be able to talk to the person that you're going to spend the rest of your life with if you expect me to think that you all are going to be happy. You do. And you cannot fall in love with someone if you aren't talking to them. If you've never talked to them. If you aren't talking to them, if every interaction is bad. If every interaction is like, okay, he didn't mean it. I'm sorry. Like, that was the worst thing they possibly could have said. It's okay to have like one or two interactions like that. It's not okay for that to be all of their interactions. And I understand that a lot of times, you know, again, that's the angst and that's like the buildup of like enemies to lovers, is like every interaction with you just makes me want to stab you. I get that, but at some point in between wanting to stab you and wanting to live with you, we have to be able to talk. And you cannot just substitute sex for conversations. You cannot. Maybe once, maybe here and there. I get it. But that can't be all that they've got. It can't be. It can't be. I need conversations between the couple. And when it is done well, when those conversations make sense, why these two might start to like each other more and more and more, I'm in heaven. I'm having the time of my life. It's amazing here. I love it here. I love these two. Everything is good. You know, other things can be bad, but it's like these conversations, that's what separates the great couples in fiction from the meh. Number 17, a support system / found family. I don't love when the main character is completely isolated and has no one in their corner. I really don't. Even if that's where we start, I need to see us building relationships with other people and the love interest, but other people also. And I really like when there's someone in their corner, when there are people who believe them, who trust them, who are rooting for them and value them and want them to succeed, and don't just want them to succeed so that they can save the world, but just want them to be happy, who let the main character know that, who are telling them that they are valuable and loved and important and smart and capable and all of those things. I like a support system, whether that is blood relations, whether that is people that they've grown up with their entire lives, whether that's people, you know, who are already established in the story when we open it up, or if it's people that we are finding and growing to love and care about throughout the story. It doesn't matter. I just want that feeling of there being friends and family. Again, it can be chosen family, but of there being people who care about the main character, who aren't trying to get in their pants. Number 18, all of the tropes. I love the romantasy tropes. I do. I love the captain of the guard being the love interest. I love the masked bandit being a nobility. I love the prince being the love interest, the king. I love an assassin. I love a morally gray character, a shadow daddy. The fae, the winged fae, the trickster, the long lost heir. You name it, I like it. I like the tropes that we do in romantasy. They're fun. I like them. And I think that that is important, right? If you really like a subgenre, it's important that you like at least half, probably, of the commonly used tropes. Otherwise, you know, it's more difficult to find the ones that you actually really like. Because, you know, the common tropes are common. They show up a lot. So if you don't like the majority of them, it's going to be the rare find in that subgenre that you do like. But I love the tropes of romantasy. Let me know your favorite one. Number 19, the exploration of the loneliness of power. I think that this is something that works really, really well in a fantasy world. And it's something that I'm always interested in because I have some favorites that explore this, whether they're fantasy or not. But to me, being famous or super powerful, the one making all of the decisions, the one that everyone knows to be afraid of, is very isolating. And I don't think that that goes away just because you have good intentions, just because you love your kingdom, right? Just because you want to use all of your power to protect your kingdom. I don't think that goes away. I don't think the loneliness and the distance between you and others goes away when you can technically order their head chopped off at any moment, right? Or you're unstoppable, right? Again, I like my main character to be unstoppable, but there is a loneliness to that. And of course, not everybody wants you to do the same thing, so you are going to be damaging relationships sometimes when you are making what you think is the best choice for everyone. And I like when that is acknowledged rather than ignored, because I don't think that it can be ignored. I think you can be the most benevolent ruler or chosen one or all-powerful sorcerer in the world, and it's still going to be an issue. So I like when we acknowledge that and when we find love and happiness despite that in particular. And lastly, number 20, a villainous couple. I don't love when the couple is all things good, right? They're so sweet. They're so holier than thou. Their motivations are so pure. They just want to help people. They would never abuse their power in any way. They would happily sacrifice themselves for the lowliest citizen in their country. They just want good things for everybody all of the time. They're so pure. Their motivations are so pure. They're just angels come down to earth, and it just so happens that they are the powerful queen and king. How lucky are we? I don't like that. I don't like it. I like it sometimes, sure, but I don't like it all the time. I love a villainous couple. A couple who's in it for themselves. A couple who is happy to destroy some people to protect what they have or what they want, or to get what they want. Sometimes I like this where it's like, yeah, they're the villain, but they're really not that bad, right? But I also like when they are that bad. I like when they're bad. I like when they enjoy murder. I like when they're a little bit of a sociopath. I like when they are happy to rain down retribution on the people who have wronged them. And, you know, if some innocents die along the way, so be it. I like when they are murderous, okay? I like when they are villainous. I like when they are into the dark arts. I like it. It's... I'm saying this for every single time, but it's fun. It's a fun time. I am having a wonderful time. Stab them again. You know what I'm saying? Stab them again. Poison them. Yes, queen. Because the reality is, you can't be good to everybody, and not everybody is good. And I, for one, don't mind a morally gray villainous villain who's actually the main character. I'd like to see more of it. But especially when you have a villainous couple. Listen, I like when the main character is a good character who's falling in love with the villain or the anti-hero or the morally gray person. I like that too. But I like when both of them are equally morally gray. When it's like, yeah, well, I'm gonna protect what's mine, and I don't really care what methods I have to use to do that. Sign me up. I'm there. I'm seated and sat and smiling. I'm thrilled to be here. So let me know if you have any recommendations based on these 20 things that I really love in Romantasy. Obviously, sometimes, like, when you're talking about what you love, you have to talk about that you love it because a lot of times you're getting this, but what you love is this thing over here. So I know that those were kind of twisted in, and, you know, obviously a lot of the things that I hate in Romantasy, which is what will be coming in a couple weeks or so, are the opposites of these, obviously. But I don't care. I'm happy and excited to talk about them. And hopefully you enjoyed it. So yeah, definitely let me know if you have any recommendations, because I like what I like, and I know what I like, and this is what I like. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.